I grew up in a household that had no fiction books except for those that we took from the library. So I had this feeling that I hadn't read enough good books. I later became an English major, so I was able to catch up a little, and I fell in love with books, and I took a lot out of the library. What I'm saying here is, if you want to be a good writer, read a lot of good books. A lot of people say, I'm not really a writer, I've just started. If you are serious, you are a writer. And you're going to have this question, what is the consciousness, the experiences, the narrative of your own life that is going to feed into those stories and make them yours? But eventually, if you keep at it, and you have a seriousness of purpose, which is to understand yourself, human nature, the world, relationships, and the conflicts that make us infinitely interesting, you will find the stories that you want to tell. And you get to see how they play out in a world that you have created out of your consciousness. There are so many things you can understand and learn that make the writing meaningful. But more importantly, you understand what it is to be alive and to put that life into your story. I started writing fiction at the age of 33, and that is because I was so unhappy with my life. I was a business writer, so I was good at writing, and I knew that. I was a very practical person, and I knew I would never give up my job and consign myself to poverty as I learned how to write. You have to be responsible and by understanding what reality is as a writer. And if you can say to yourself, I'm not going to make any money, I'm not going to have anything published for a while, but I am committed to learning this craft and what stories are and what I find interesting. You set yourself on that path. And when I knew I was on that path is that I wrote a story that took me by surprise. And I knew that it took me by surprise and it was meaningful because I started to cry. And I said to myself, I am going to do this the rest of my life. And I'm going to use my extra time to devote to fiction. And I had to do that. So I would write these stories. I went to a workshop. I signed up for a conference. I joined a writer's group. I started to get a story published in little magazines. That story led to something else, a reprint. And that reprint in 17 magazine led to an agent who helped me secure a book deal for my first novel, The Joy Luck Club.
Imagination and memory, tools Amy Tan has mined since her hugely successful debut with the novel The Joy Luck Club.
When I started writing The Joy Luck Club, I was such a novice. There was so much I didn't know about writing that I felt I needed to have guideposts that I would create and I would be able to follow. In this class, I'm not going to give you rules. I'm going to give you guideposts. I'm going to give you examples of things that worked and also didn't work. I'm going to show you rejection letters, false starts, pages that needed to be thrown away, all the pain that we all have as writers that are necessary to become writers. I'm going to show you the tools you already have at your disposal, which is your own thoughts, your own memory, and your own form of imagination, which has to do with a combination of the things you already understand or want to understand. I'm going to show you journals. what goes into a journal and why it's valuable to observe everything. Not just one thing that relates to your story, but everything, because you never know where stories are going to come from. We're also going to look at why storytelling is so deeply meaningful, not only to you and your life, but to the larger world. Why do we need stories? Why do you need stories? Why do I write? Why do you write? I'm Amy Tan, and this is my masterclass.